I was informed today that I and my team will be laid off at the end of this year. That is tough for me because what I do gives purpose and meaning to my life. What do I do? There's a lot of components, a lot of pieces, a lot of threads to a difficult situation like this. And they're all important. They interweave with each other. So let's look at them all. Because experience, and especially spiritual experience, is not about cutting things out. It's not about denying parts of existence. Rather, it's about expanding our own sense of identification, our own sense of experience, so that I don't have to push something out of the way in order to have peace or joy or truth or love or awakening. For most of us, that space inside of ourselves feels very small. And so if at the moment I'm peaceful, happy, but then some bad news comes or difficult situation comes, most of us have to push that which is coming out of the way in order to maintain the peace and joy. Or that which is coming from the outer world comes in and literally bumps out the peace and joy. And so we find ourselves being able to have either or. Either I'm present with the difficulty of this moment, or I am experiencing peace and joy, but it's a superficial peace and joy because it's one that is experienced only by aversion to, denial of, even repression and suppression of other aspects of truth. So the highest spiritual way is never about pushing things out. It's about an expansion. And so in a situation like this, okay, we have a difficult circumstance. Advance notice that I'm going to lose my job in December, end of the year. And as the person who's asked mentions, it's even more difficult because it's not just money. It's not just food on the table, but they said I get my purpose and meaning in life from my work. So a potential loss of that. So the first piece is simply sit with that. Yeah, it's difficult. Absolutely. There's so much that comes up when we hear news like that. Sense of rejection, sense of not being good enough. If I were somehow better, more, different, I wouldn't be fired. I would be valued, I would be kept. So there's an inevitable sense also of rejection of who we are. See it, acknowledge it. But don't allow yourself to get wrapped up in a story about these. We just look at it. We acknowledge, yes, some drama of rejection, some story, because of course that's all it is. We're telling ourselves a story about why we've been laid off. And it may have absolutely nothing to do with our capability and everything to do with the new direction our company is going. There's a million reasons why things happen in life that are not. It's because I'm not enough. But that tends to be the story that most of us go to. Someone left me because there was something wrong with me. I lost my job. This happened because I'm not good enough. So we have to be present and aware of the stories that we make up. Just notice it. Again, don't berate yourself. That's just another story. Otherwise, we start to judge and berate ourselves and say, oh, look, there you are, telling yourself that stupid story again. Fired from your job, you can't even do spirituality right. Still, another version of the same you're not enough story. So you just acknowledge that, yeah, it's difficult. You acknowledge the logistic difficulty. You're going to have to find another way to make money, to put food on the table. You acknowledge the internal impact, that feeling of being not good enough, that feeling of rejection. But you just notice it. You notice the story you're telling yourself. And then we go to another thread. And that other thread is the thread that says that everything in life happens so that we actually may take the next step to our own awakening. And it's important to realize that that isn't a platitude. That's not the same thing as saying, oh, it's all perfect. Because, yeah, it is all perfect, but it's all perfect on a completely different level of existence. The level of existence on which it's all perfect is the level of existence in which we just are soul, in which there is nothing but God. There is no differentiation, no distinction, no separation at all. It's that level of just nothing but God. In the teachings of Advaita Vedanta, this is seen as the highest truth. Nothing but God. Everything else, who you think you are, all of it, illusion. So on that level, it's all perfect simply because it's all God. The problem is that we tend to take that and we take it out of that level of existence, and we bring it into the very real, very physical, very grounded in an intersection of time and space reality. And it doesn't apply there. It applies in the capital R real, in the capital T truth, that eternal, never changing reality in which we're never born, we never die, in which there isn't a me and a you, there just is isness. But to say everything that happens in our life, it's all perfect, well, we all know that's not true. There's a lot that doesn't feel perfect. There's a lot that isn't perfect. Violence, harm, injustice, environmental destruction, it's not perfect. Unless we are looking, as I said, only on the level of soul, at which point it's not about a tree or a river or a person or a child, it's only about soul. There is no death, there is no birth, so that's a completely different level. And it's a beautiful level. But it's not the level I'm going to take you to, because when you're thinking about the repercussions of something in this plane of reality, which also, by the way, is real. It's just real, rooted in time and space. It's real, rooted in a physical reality, in a mental reality, in a changing reality. And in that reality, no, it's not perfect, but it is exactly what is right for you to take your next step of spiritual evolution. And the way that we know that is, it's what's happened. And the law of karma works with only one objective. that every one of us wakes up. And so everything that happens to us happens because it is the most conducive situation, environment, experience for us to take that next step of spiritual awakening. That doesn't mean it feels good. That doesn't mean it's fun. That doesn't mean that you love it or you want it to continue. That doesn't even mean it has to continue. Because once you've taken that step, that condition was required for, well, then you're ready for a new condition. We only find ourselves stuck in the same pattern over and over and over again when we're not able to learn what that condition was there to teach us, when we're not able to take that step from that condition. And so for you at this moment, after you've given yourself space to just be present with it, say to yourself, okay, so what is it I'm supposed to learn here? And I'll throw some ideas out there. I don't know if they're you. One of the challenges of satsang via the chords of technology, the energy of technology is, instead of staring into your eyes sitting right in front of me, I see you through a camera. Nonetheless, even without the ease of being able to look at you and know you in the eyes right in front of me, energetically we're connected. And so I'm going to throw some pieces out there that may be the lesson that you're supposed to learn, that may be that step you are supposed to take on your spiritual opening from this. First of all, on a very logistic level, it may simply be actually that there is another opportunity that's going to give you even more purpose and meaning. That while you were in that particular job, you didn't even know what else existed. And that when the universe cleared that away, it's just created space for something more. That is almost definitely the case. But on a level of growth, there may very well be a lesson in there about security and safety for you, about predictability, about knowing where the paycheck was going to come from, where the purpose was going to come from, where the meaning was going to come from, of having that security. And the universe has just sort of thrown you in the deep end, but it knows you can swim. And so the lesson may be, hey, wow, I didn't know I could swim in the deep end, but the universe did. And so it's picked you up out of safety and security and thrown you in order for you to realize that you didn't need that situation or any situation to feel safe and secure. That actually you're anchored to something, not dependent upon the whim of an employer, that makes you safe, that makes you secure. There's another possible lesson or step for you here, which has to do with the identification that we take from our careers and how much we identify as, I am this job, I am this title. And the truth is, no matter how good it feels, ultimately it's ignorance, because we're not that. And the universe, as I said, keeps aiming for your awakening. And it may be that you were just getting a little bit too much of your sense of identity, of your sense of purpose and meaning, from that job, from that role. And the universe wanted to make sure that you knew that's not who you are. Yes, it's what you did. It's what you do. It's a wonderful action, a wonderful karma. Certainly sounds like it benefits you. Hopefully it benefits others. I imagine it does if it brings you purpose and meaning. So it's a good karma, good action. But it's still not who you are. And one of the things that the universe does is it pulls ego identifications away from us. Just to make sure that we keep learning. You're not that. Just because you do it, even just because you do it well, doesn't mean it's who you are. Who are you if you're not that? Who's the you who no longer will be doing that? And remember, ultimately, your experience of that you-ness is the universe's agenda. So use this time. First of all, be very grateful that your employer or your company gave you so many months' notice. Especially in this time of COVID. There's so many people I know who were laid off with basically no notice, whose companies have shut down. So first of all, just on a very literal, pragmatic level, be full of gratitude to your company and to the universe that you were given this kind of notice. To be able to put money aside, to be able to get a new job, to be able to plan. And then figure out, well, all right, if I really feel like this particular work is my duty, that it is my purpose, it is my dharma. If I lost this job, it means there's a bigger, other, different, deeper way for me to be fulfilling this duty. What is it? And you don't have to know the answer right now, but stay open to it. It will appear. And maybe what the universe is teaching is that actually the whole meaning and purpose you got from it isn't even the highest meaning and purpose that you're supposed to be having right now. And that actually what you're going to walk into is going to be something that's going to make it so clear how much more meaning and how much more purpose. And lastly, circling back to where I began, because everything is a spiritual opportunity. And so allow yourself, not in denial, not in repression, not in aversion or pushing away, but just in expansion and capital T truth. Allow yourself to sink in to an experience of just total awareness of the you that isn't the one who lost her job, that isn't the one who does the job, that isn't the one who has these skills, that isn't the one you see in a mirror, but that just is. Allow yourself to sink into that spaciousness of such pure consciousness, such pure love, pure awareness, that becomes the field, the ultimate field of you in which you move through the world, so that everything that happens, all of these happenings in time, space, are happening not to the field, that you're identifying, at least for some moments every day with the constant, eternal, unchanging, never born, never dying existence, pure consciousness, pure divinity of just isness. And the more minutes a day you can touch that, the more able you are to navigate all of that which happens in this time-space physical world continuum. Because you're anchored in something completely different.